So Mahesh, we were talking about your journey from underqualified copywriter to
Underqualified investor.
a highly awarded writer, and then to becoming an investor, and then you had your own, started your own, ad agency of sorts, digital agency, if I'm permitted to call it that, and then you invested in several companies, right? So tell us, of all the companies you invested in, and I'm sure a lot of viewers here are looking at, doing their own startup. Because startup is in the air today, even in the IITs and IIMs, and of course in every other college today, people are wanting to do startups. So tell us 3-4 things which you saw in investors, the companies which succeeded when you invested, and 3-4 things you think are kind of death for the startup ecosystem.
So I'll start in terms of the thesis or the epiphany that we had about 5, 6, 7 years ago, which impacted both the work that I do at Pinstorm as well as the work that I do as an investor, right? The first epiphany was this, that I grew up in a world where, if you take a traditional sector, pharmaceutical, cars, all of these things, right? Market shares are very closely bunched together. I mean, the biggest guy will have 10% market share, somebody will have 9%, somebody will have 8%, and so on and so forth. Or in cars, 21%, 20%, 19%, 17%, and so on and so forth, right? And those market shares are built and brands are genuinely built in that old world using advertising and positioning and Rise and Trout and Arker and all of the happy stuff that we learned between the 70s, 80s and 90s. But something strange started happening, Ambi, about 5, 7 years ago. If I take any sector, if I take, say, automotives, right? And there's Toyota and Volkswagen neck and neck among the top of the world in the gasoline car sector. But if I take the electric car sector, like the dominant leader is Tesla with a 99% market share, and BMW I has second with a 0.5% market share. Now take Coke and Pepsi, which are neck and neck, and there's Sprite and 7-Up and all those soft drinks fighting neck and neck. And if I hire Beyonce, you hire somebody else, and so on and so forth, right? But if I take the modern equivalent, which has grown in the last 5 years, which is energy drinks, Red Bull has 49% market share, and Coke's energy drink and Pepsi's energy drink together are 11%, right? If I take all the small coffee shops then, and if I take what Starbucks is now, 80% dominant market share leader.
But this again actually harking back to classical segmentation strategy.
Actually, it's not. I'll come to you. I take women's fashion, which is all very tightly bunched together. And today, a Zara at $21 billion is 10 times larger than Calvin Klein at $2 billion. Now come to the digital side of the fence. Even the contrast is even more jarring. Search is Google. 90% plus all searches in the world are Google. Remember, we used to be told many years ago.
Though in the US, Microsoft keeps making noise that Bing is bigger, Bing is better, Bing is blah, Bing.
Those are advertising claims, those are lies, right?
But I met them, so they kind of did a demo. And,
that's right. But they're still a single digit percentage, right? On any kind of global basis. So there's Microsoft. In email, Gmail is 3-4 times larger than everybody.
There's a question I was supposed to ask you.
I'll come to you.
About this entire Mahesh Murthi favorable bias towards Google. I've not asked you yet.
One second. Facebook, 85% global market share in social networking. Google is a far number 2 at 8-10%. Right? So no particular bias. WhatsApp, absolute leader, owned by Facebook, right? 70% market share. WeChat from China, second at 15-17%. And you take case. So
is that winner takes all?
So here's the thing that's really interesting. We were told that as competition would rise, logically the bigger brands would come close to each other. But actually the opposite has happened. As competition rises, the strange thing is dominance rises. We are now in a market where typically the top brand in the niche takes 85% market share. The second brand in the niche tends to take 8.5% market share. The third brand in the niche tends to take 0.85% market share or 99 and
But the market is like a shifting sand, isn't it?
Sure, that's okay. So here's the thing, right? So you have dominance in a particular product or product category,
Yeah.
But again, look at traditional brand extensions and line extensions. If I'm Unilever, right? Hindustan Unilever, maybe I'll do soaps. And after soaps, I'll do shampoos. And shampoos, I'll do conditioners. Conditioners, I'll do toothpaste. Toothpaste, I may do toothbrushes, right? So I'm still in pretty much exactly the same niche. And there I fight for share, 7%, 8%, 9% market share. If I grow by 0.5%, everybody declares a win. Here, look at what Apple does, Google does, Microsoft does, right? And they're the most valuable brands in the world. 2 or 3 different things. One, there's only one brand. So, one of the reasons that Patanjali, I think, has kicked the ass of Unilever and Procter & Gamble out here is you have a Synthol and you have a Lifebuoy and you have a Lux and then you have a Sunsilk and then you have there are 100 different brands in the Unilever stable because the original belief was that in any segment I have to have one brand. There's one brand called Patanjali. Whether you buy wheat, whether you buy toothpaste, there's one brand called Patanjali. It's easier for him to get.
But Patanjali's story is being told, and I am told that out of the 5,000 crore turnover they claim, 2,500 to 3,000 crore comes from one product.
Maybe
ghee.
So. Maybe
That's
so.
it. And ghee is classic conversion from unbranded to branded. So I have a theory that actually Patanjali is doing what Nirma did for the detergent category.
But
Patanjali is
even
doing
in
a
the
very
foods
good job.
categories and outside of ghees,
Very good job.
most homes are very happy, because they've figured out. And I don't see an issue. I mean, the fact is, even today they're larger than Colgate. They're a little smaller than P&G and about 1/3 the size of HUL in India.
They're going to become bigger than Colgate as a full company, not in toothpaste. Toothpaste, they are what, 400 crores compared to Colgate, 4,000 crores.
But Colgate Palmolive has different products. It's not just toothpaste. There's lots of Palmolive products and lots of other products in Colgate.
In India's only toothpaste, nothing else.
So here's the thing. So I think one is the brand thing. The second thing they've done that's really nice is in terms of line extensions. If you look at Google, Apple, and Microsoft and others, their entire line extension theory is that we will go where we can get dominance. So while HUL goes from toothpaste to toothbrush, when there's already people in toothbrush, look at Google. Started in search, then did email, which has nothing to do with search, then did maps, which has nothing to do with either search or email, then went and did social networks and lost that. Then went and did.
But email, they came, they were a follower, right? Hotmail had already done a free.
But everyone they were a follower.
In Maps, were they a follower?
Of course, Nokia was there in Maps long before Google. Yahoo and others were there in search long before Google. Google was not the first; it was the best, right? And we'll talk about the nature of what this best is. So then they did mobile operating systems where they were again a follower and won that. And now they're doing shots to the moon, self-driving cars. So essentially what there is no logical line extension progression. They throw the seeds far from the tree and say, that area if it sticks, I'll dominate that. That area if it doesn't stick, it'll die. That area if it sticks, I'll dominate that. So that's modern brand extension theory as opposed to I'll stay close to where I am.
So we were coming to
hold on.
The companies. What defines a successful startup in your view?
First,
and what defines
I'll tell you, absolutely.
failure?
First is what I call the dominance of dominance. Increasingly, you take a niche, you dominate, get 85% plus market share. And if you want to line extend, you don't line extend where it's logical, but you line extend where you get another 85% market share. Second, and this is where it's really interesting and a bit of a shock to all of us who come from advertising. All the brands that we talked about are which is incredible market leaders, right? Whether it's a Zara or whether it's a Red Bull or whether it's a Tesla or whether it's a Starbucks or whether it's a Google or a Gmail or a WhatsApp or a Facebook, right? All of these brands have zero advertising budgets. Right? That is the incredible thing, that whether offline or online, the winning brands spend zero on advertising. The losing brands always spend a lot on advertising. This to me was a huge revelation. Saying, oh my God, if I'm an investor, it makes my job easier because I don't need to have an ad budget. And that's exactly what I did with Redbus. And then, okay, we'll come to that. So what makes it successful? Each of these companies have created products or offerings which get extraordinary remarkableness, extraordinary word of mouth.
So you're speaking like Boguski, in his book Baked In, presents this concept that if you have an interesting enough product, which has an interesting enough story in itself, so you bake in the concept into your brand.
Maybe so. And
that like Redbus had a story, right? You don't need to.
We created the story, right? So in each of the brands. So if you go to Dulali, which is my, the beer company here, which I own part of, we're playing an extraordinary game. We have no signage, yet each store does 7 crores a year. Right, and we have 3 right now, and we should be.
What are these called?
They're called Dularis. They're the tap room where you have beer. We make our own beer. Right?
Microbrewery.
It's a microbrewery, right? It's far and away dominant microbrewery brand in Bombay. Extraordinarily profitable. No happy hours, no nothing. I can do an entire show on exactly how innovative that particular company has been on marketing, right? But the key point here is how do I build a remarkable.
So is that what you look for? That does the company have a strong enough baked in story?
No. Can the company have a strong enough baked in story after I'm done with it? Because that's my value addition to the company. I look at a product, look at an offering, say, can I take 90%, 80% market share here? Can I do it by helping them create a remarkable product, right? And not making bad. Even Redbus, we went from selling 2 tickets a day to selling 125,000 tickets a day without buying an ad.
So have you exited Redbus?
Yeah, I sold Redbus. We made a bunch of money on Redbus. It was, I understand, the biggest return on for any VC investment in India. I can disclose that we made 25 times the money, right? So it's
okay. So you've been in advertising, you've done your own digital agency, and then you've been a VC. Was it all accidental, or was
Completely,
there
man.
a?
I still don't know what I want to do in life.
Okay,
Right?
good.
I understand over a period of time that I'm a marketer, and all I've tried to do is figure out, how can I make this marketing?
So you're having fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
good.
how
That's
can you
good.
make? How can you do damage, right? So it started by saying, how can I help HCL sell more copiers against Murthi Xerox
Okay.
by spending very little money? Now it's how can I help my own brands,
Okay.
either at Pinstorm or my investee brands, beat the competition by spending no money, which is building a more remarkable product. So what we do at Pinstorm right now is actually design products for our clients or create, advertising which grows by word of mouth radically. So we did some stuff for the Aam Aadmi Party, which cost us like 20 rupees, but got us 3 million views. And there's more money, and this happens in life. Look at how AAP won Delhi. It may lose it again, but it spent zero in a state where the BJP spent 100 crores and it won 67 seats out of 70 by spending zero.
So it's an interesting. Again, it's a baked-in story, right? An interesting story.
You assume it's a baked-in story, but no, there is an extraordinary amount of work that goes into figure out how do I bake a story?
Bake it in? Yeah.
How do I create a product?
Okay, so
how do I create remarkable
So
results?
you've been on television shows. I know that on Z. I think I've seen you with Subhash ji. Have you done any writing?
I do
Any
a little
book?
bit of writing.
Have you-
Well, people have collected my columns and put it into a book. I haven't, published it myself. I have a bunch of people that, I write on and put it up on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. I have about 500,000 people who follow me for whatever reason. I assume that they are otherwise unemployed, which is
On Twitter?
On Twitter, no. On Twitter, it's about 80, 90,000. On LinkedIn, it's about 250,000. On Facebook, it's about 50, 60,000. And on Quora, I'm well followed. On Medium, I'm well followed. So it's okay. All of this.
Good. So let me come back.
But here's the interesting thing, and it's great fun because I was meeting my friend Ashok, who runs Business India, and said, I have more readership than you. I have more readership than Business World. I have more readership than Business Today. It's really funny to be able to think that. But here's what, all of us are now media.
Yeah, everyone is media, right?
Yeah, we are media.
So you can tweet, you can post an article and get 1,500.
And the reader has almost as much credibility for you as it has for a magazine. I'll give you a proof. For example, Facebook spent 400 crores last year to try to push free basics into India, and a small bunch of us with no money were able to stop it.
Yeah, but this is the issue, which is what I don't understand. Why did they spend that kind of money when they were sitting on probably India's biggest medium?
Bad advice. Some advertising agency advises them that you have to spend money on media.
I was told the whole thing was controlled out of.
Well, they bought media out here.
San Jose, whatever.
They bought media out here. But whatever, so somebody gave them back. So Facebook itself has never need to advertise to grow, but to find a public relations.
Why should you?
So it's rank bad advice. Rank bad advice.
Okay, so let me come to the last part of this, and I want to plug my book as well. And this is a new book I've written, Nawab's Nudes Noodles.
Advertising headline,
which is about
you have
50
royalty,
years.
naked women, and food.
No. It's
only three things a man is interested in.
Sells, right? So here is a question to you. You got into advertising because you must have been inspired by some ad. So if you look back 30, 40 years, what would be one or two really memorable ads?
For sure. I got into advertising in 83 or 84, and I think that year the Shayad Day 1984 commercial happened in the US. That blew my mind.
India? Would it be something which Trikaya did?
Well, Trikaya, we did some extraordinary stuff. I remember getting into Trikaya after Chris had written this ad for babies to model for some baby food, and it was called Nude Models Wanted.
That I've written about it here. Yeah. That was actually written by Alok.
Yeah.
But Chris kind of crafted it.
So
it was for a baby soap who was looking for a baby model.
Right?
It ran once
and
on midday, and they had a stampede the next day with babies.
So I joined Trikaya right after that, and those were the crazy days.
That would be your favorite ad.
That was probably one of them. There were a few I did myself, which I'm happy about because again, so it sounds very odd to say, I did this campaign where I ran this ad once and market share changed from 2% to 75%, but we did that for HCL versus Modi Xerox. There's a bunch of stuff that Shashank and I did for MTV, which I think really, really were pretty cutting edge from 1993 in those times. The ear cleaner and column and all that stuff.
So, Mahesh, thank you very much, right? And we can go on and on for another day, but I think we've really overshot our time.
Too bad. So, you're getting an advertising guy to talk. It's crazy.
So, that was Mahesh Murthi, college dropout, copywriter, entrepreneur, ad agency owner, digital maverick, and of course, a very, very successful VC. Mahesh, Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks, sir. I hope this was fun for you guys.
And good.
Thanks.